Hello, Miss Bonnie. My name is Soxaja, Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince's nobody. I'm calling because my friend Joshua has been going through some emotional problems lately, and I was hoping if you could be able to help him by doing a co-blog with him on the latest Pixar film, Inside Out 2. If you get this message, please give Joshua a buzz whenever you get the chance. Thank you. And take care.
Hello, Joshua. I am on my way.
Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Joining me today is a very special guest, one whom you've already met before. So please, help me in welcoming back the hostess of Joy Unicycle, the lovely Bonnie Joy O'Connor.
Hey Joshua, so great to see you again.
Bonnie, I really want to thank you for coming.
Been feeling alright?
Well, over these past several weeks, I've been going through some problems, which has sometimes been giving me panic attacks and nervous breakdowns. Also, the COVID welder's doom spell is still infecting my heart.
I'm sorry. But I'm here now. I'm here to help.
Thanks, Bonnie. Now, before we get started, let's discuss Pixar's hit film from 2015, Inside Out. For those who may not remember, Inside Out is a very simple story which takes place in the mind of a young girl named Riley Anderson, where a group of personified basic emotions named joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger influence her actions and her personality. After moving to San Francisco, California, Riley's life turns upside down, and the stress of the move brings sadness to the forefront. When joy and sadness are inadvertently swept into the far reaches of Riley's mind, the only emotions left in headquarters are anger, fear, and disgust. Now, while it did feel pretty similar to Epcot's extinct Cranium Command attraction, I thought Inside Out was a wonderful and emotional movie, no pun intended, and I liked how it focuses mostly on the relationship and dynamic between joy and sadness. And nowadays, I consider this movie to be pretty similar to the Toy Story quadrilogy and Turning Red, due to it being about growing up. Plus, I say this movie really deserved the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature at the time.
Well, Inside Out, honestly, is my absolute favorite Pixar movie, bar none. I love Soul, I love Coco, I love Up, but Inside Out for me was very personal. It personified emotions in a way that, yeah, other films have too, but Pete Docter did it in such a way that was relatable and you could identify with it a lot easier. Or even when you were uncertain of how you were feeling, you could pick out each of the emotions and describe how you were feeling at the time. And, well, the first movie dealt with a girl named Riley dealing with a gigantic move from Minnesota to California and the impact it has on her. For me personally, I mean, I identified with this movie because it came during a time when people kept telling me, stop crying, stop feeling sad. It's bad to feel sad. It's bad to feel this. It's bad to feel that. And this movie was very much saying, it's not bad to feel anger, fear, sadness. If anything, don't push sadness away, but at the same time, learn when to use your emotion, how to use your emotions. And it did it in such a brilliant way. And I also give this movie 20 more points because I found in later articles that it helped kids with autism to speak and communicate how they were feeling. That automatically gives this movie 20 more points.
Also to note, some of you might remember that nearing the end of my blog, I did say, and I quote,
"And hopefully if there's a sequel, Pixar should add more emotions to the film."
And after 9 years, my prayers have been answered. And believe you me, I was really hyped after seeing the first teaser.
Pretty much when I heard that there was going to be an Inside Out 2, I was absolutely hyped. Like, think Thor Ragnarok. Yes! I was thrilled, excited. This was one of those movies I was begging for a sequel for, and in a sense, the movie itself was also begging for a sequel. Just that scene where Disgust asks, "Guys, what's puberty?" Puberty. That one moment was just screaming for a sequel, and I was like, let's get a sequel. I don't need a sequel to The Incredibles 2. I don't need a Monsters University, though both were really great. I want this sequel. I want this sequel.
But is this new sequel any good compared to its predecessor? Well, we're about to find out. Released on June 14th, 2024, the movie is Inside Out 2. And now, let's get started. Taking place about 2 years after the first movie, joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust have continued running a successful operation inside Riley Anderson's mind, and they're proud that their little girl has just turned 13, made 2 close friends, and is about to enter high school. However, on the night before Riley has to leave for a 3-day-long hockey camp, her mind's headquarters undergoes a sudden demolition to make room for something entirely unexpected. New emotions, which includes envy, embarrassment, ennui, and their ringleader, anxiety. Later, when Riley learns that her best friends will be attending a different high school next year, anxiety throws away Riley's present sense of self to the back of her mind, exiles joy and the other old emotions, and takes it upon herself to reshape Riley in the hopes that the new version of her will impress Firehawk's Captain Val. After escaping from the memory vault, Joy and company must journey to the back of the mind in order to restore Riley's former sense before anxiety totally upends Riley's ability to function. So, how was this sequel to Us? Well, in my personal opinion, this movie was very emotional, relatable, and very psychological. And I think it got to be the best animated film of the year so far. What about you, Bonnie?
Well, I had high expectations when the movie premiered, and when I finally did get to see it, it exceeded my expectations in so many ways. I can't believe how good it is.
So, with all that said, let's head over to Mustang Notes. After the success of Inside Out, which was the 7th highest grossing film of 2015, Entertainment Tonight and The Guardian considered a sequel to be inevitable. Inside Out director Pete Docter was germinating ideas for a sequel, while the original film's nominations were unveiled at the 88th Academy Awards in January 2016. Pixar officially confirmed the sequel's development during the D23 Expo announcement in September 2022, with Amy Poehler coming on stage to discuss the film alongside Docter. Kelsey Mann was announced as the director of the sequel, marking this as his feature directorial debut, with Mark Nielsen producing, while Meg LaFave was announced to write the film's screenplay, returning from its predecessor. To utilize truthful world building, Mann used Docter's 5 to 27 emotions idea from the first film that he had pitched during its production. Mann's first pass included 9 new emotions to make Joy feel overwhelmed with all the new emotions showing up, but felt that the story could not keep track with so many emotions taking the spotlight or not adding to the story. So after the first screening, he decided to simplify the number. Among those emotions was schadenfreude, or having joy at someone's expense, along with jealousy and guilt. But the latter two influenced the film despite being removed from the first movie, with man feeling that envy could relate to jealousy and how remnants of guilt could be found within anxiety's introduction, even giving anxiety some of guilt's baggage, which was inspired by that of Disneyland hotels. To assist with the development of the film, Pixar enlisted a group of 9 teenagers who were dubbed Riley's crew to provide feedback on the film to ensure it accurately portrayed modern teenage life. Their input led to an inclusion of the emotion nostalgia and influenced various scenes, including everyday elements of the emotions' lives and the transition from middle school to high school.
That's something that's always amazed me about Pixar is their willingness to actually listen to anybody. The fact that they actually did take teenagers and put them in a group and analyzed how they were feeling. I wrote down a story and then asked them for feedback and kept getting feedback from them. I want to see more writers do that, and the fact that Pixar actually does that is another reason why I love them.
Not only that, but the production team consulted author and clinical psychologist Lisa Damore and used her books as guidance on accurately portraying how teenagers' emotions change during puberty. Plus, Datcher Keltner, professor of psychology at the University of California, Berkeley, who helped out on the first Inside Out, returned as a consultant. He played a key role in selecting which emotions should be introduced in the story. Now, what are our thoughts on the animation? Well, as usual, when it comes to Pixar, their style of CGI is awesome.
And shockingly, I think that this animation is even better than the first one.
To me, the inside of Riley's mind is still impressive, and I like how it still shows the emotions headquarters, long-term memory, and imagination land. But there are a few new things, like the emotions bedroom, which we never saw in the first movie, and the belief system located underneath headquarters, which helps form Riley's sense of self. And to us, it kind of feels pretty similar to the core memories from the first movie.
In a sense, you could say that the core beliefs are similar to the core memories, but not quite. And this kind of does give a distinction between the two, whereas the core memories help form the memories that lead you to what you want to be. The core beliefs for Riley are pretty much her sense of self, what she knows about herself, what she is sure of. And I love how in this movie that gets challenged as she gets older. And I also love how this movie willingly deals with what it's like when you have to face these challenges and figure out, who am I?
There's also the back of the mind where all the bad memories are thrown away, the vault of secrets, which holds things that Riley wants to keep secret, including a few things that she knew from her childhood and a certain crush. Plus, we also have the stream of consciousness, which kind of makes me think back to the adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, the sarcasm, where anything that echoes across it can sound sarcastic. Plus, Imagination Land has a couple new things of its own, like Mount Crushmore, which shows the faces of Riley's top 4 crushes, including Jordan, the boy she bumped into at the end of the first movie, and a video game character named Lance Slashblade. More about him later. And of course, there's Fort Pillowton, which used to be a place for pillow fights, but now it's used as a base for something really thought-provoking, but also ingenious. Tell 'em, Bonnie.
Fort Pillowton. Oh man, the idea that they came up with this was amazing. I mean, seriously. So basically what it is these different molecules drawing all the worst case scenarios that could happen with Riley at Anxiety's command. And what I love about this is the molecules draw out the same way animators draw out story ideas. So much like how the first movie had dreams in almost a Hollywood-esque manner, this literally draws out all the ideas that could go on in Riley's mind in all the worst case scenarios. I just love this.
Also, I must note that this is most likely the 4th Pixar film where the animation gets interesting. While WALL-E had some live action, Soul had characters that were animated by a single line, and Turning Red had some Japanese anime-inspired moments. This film includes some hand-drawn animation for a couple characters like Bluefy and Pouchy.
Along with being amazed at how this 2D animation works, I works so well with the 3D animation in a way where you'd believe it. For lack of a better way to say it. It reminded me so much of Dora the Explorer and the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Come on. How could you not look at this moment where Bluefy calls out,
"Everybody say, oh, Pouchy!" Hi, everybody!
And not instantly think of,
Everybody say, oh, Toodles! Oh, Toodles!
I swear I was almost tempted in the theater. Fun fact, I was almost tempted to shout, "Oh, Toodles!" in the theater when Bluefy says, "Oh, Pouchy!" Because, obviously it's supposed to reference Dora the Explorer, but I see more of the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse in there, and it's Disney!
You know what, Bonnie? I felt almost the exact same way when I saw it in theaters with a few friends. Plus, aside from these characters, we also get some surprisingly good PS1 styled animation for Lance Slashblade, who, for some reason, has the ability to roll, which, in my opinion, seems a bit pathetic compared to Sonic the Hedgehog. Bonnie, what do you think?
Originally, I thought that he was based off of Sora from Kingdom of Hearts, but apparently he was based more on the Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy, and I can see that. And the animation on him is also great. I love how these 3 different animations combine together and fit in the same frame, almost in a seamless Who Framed Roger Rabbit minus live action way.
As for the story, well, I find it pretty interesting that this movie mainly takes place during a 3-day long hockey camp trip. And like the first movie, I think it makes a great coming-of-age film where it explores Riley adjusting to her new teenage life while making new friends along the way. Bonnie, is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
Personally, Joshua, I've got little to nothing to complain about. Though, mainly, much like the first movie, I want more. But any movie that has that as an only flaw is a great movie. Because it's got all these different ideas and it makes me want more out of it. Like, I like nostalgia. I mean, I know that she's there for a running gag, but what if she was like, maybe in an upcoming movie or an upcoming short, she actually helps with the scenario, like, in my old day, we made sure to take care of the situation that way. And Joy's like, oh, right! We can do it this way! Like, why didn't we get that? That was just awesome.
You know what, Bonnie? I think you've made some good points. Also to note, like the first film, I find it pretty interesting that this sequel technically doesn't have a main villain. Though, I still wonder what it'd be like if we actually did have a villain in these movies. I mean, the first movie was originally gonna have Gloom as the main villain, but he became scrapped for reasons that I can't explain. Anyway, now that we're done with Mustang notes, let's talk about the characters and their voice actors. Now let's begin with Riley Anderson, who this time is voiced by Kensington Tallman, whom was in Summer Camp. Now ever since 2015, I've looked at Riley as one of the most relatable and special characters in Pixar history, and she still makes an excellent young hockey player. During this movie, once Riley reaches puberty, she starts to feel her emotions more deeply. Also, believe it or not, I was pretty similar to Riley when I was her age. Well, almost. You see, I didn't exactly enter high school at the age of 13. Instead, I was entering junior high at that age. But, like Riley, I also had braces at that age. And sometimes, I had trouble communicating with different people back then. Bonnie, what are your thoughts on Riley?
Personally, I like Riley. I love how she's handled in this movie and how relatable she is and how we watch her deal with her struggles. And Kensington really does give a solid performance.
Next, we come to her best friends, Grace and Bree, voiced by Grace Liu and Samaya Nuruddin Green. And in my opinion, I think these two are really sweet girls, and I like that they become very close friends after Riley and Bree helped Grace pick up all of her coins during a school presentation. However, the part where they tell Riley that they got assigned to a different high school kind of reminded me of when I became separated from a few close friends for the very same reason. Plus, I felt very sympathetic every time Riley neglects them, but thankfully, the part where they make amends at the end of the movie makes up for all that.
First off, I think that's very clever that they decided that one of the friends' names will actually be the actress's name. So that was cool. And what I personally love about these friends and Riley's connection with them is not only how it affects her core beliefs, but also, in a way, it kind of does tie into the first movie as well, because with her friends now going to another high school, she's being hit with that loss again, because she's already lost her best friend back in Minnesota, and now she's about to lose her closer friends again. So that's a devastating blow for her, and where anxiety comes in. And, well, I've also had similar situations where currently at the moment I've had to move away and my best friend is now on the other side of the country. And, well, I'm on the East Coast. I also like how this film somewhat resolves their friendship by showing that no matter what, Riley and her friends will be there for each other, even in their worst of circumstances. And even though their friendship does get challenged, they ultimately come back together. And they come together to help Riley in the same way that she helped one of them in the beginning. And that's what real friendship is. Helping each other in the worst of moments, as well as being there for the best of moments.
Next, we come to Riley's emotions, which include joy, voiced by Amy Poehler, sadness, voiced by Phyllis Smith, and anger, voiced by Lewis Black. However, fear and disgust are no longer voiced by Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling. Instead, they're voiced by Tony Hale, aka Forky from Toy Story 4, and Lisa Lapira, whom I remember from Cloverfield and 2009's Fast and Furious movie. Anyway, I think joy and the main 5 emotions are still as memorable as they were in the first movie, and I kind of find it interesting that each of them have different feelings of their own, aside from their assigned emotions. For example, the part where Joy rants kind of sounds like me whenever I have to put up with so much negativity in my life, even on the internet. Anger, despite mostly being a grumpy negative jerk, can have a comforting heart at times. Fear can be prepared, like when he reveals that he has parachute pants. Disgust can be encouraging and intelligent, and I find it interesting that she too has a crush on Lance Slashblade. And sadness, well, I like that she's more accepted in this movie, and I find it sweet that she gains a crush on Embarrassment. But I think the best part involving her is when she sneaks into headquarters via a recall tube and hides herself in the mind library.
The casting is once again great. I love seeing the return of Amy Poehler as Joy, Phyllis Smith as Sadness, and especially Lewis Black as Anger. I was concerned at first because there were articles going around on Facebook saying that Lewis Black was going to drop out or something like that. And I was actually concerned because even though I love Joy, I love Anger. I love Lewis Black as Anger the most because, I mean, just that voice and the animation on him and the way he fires up. Lewis Black is just amazing as that. I mean, as Anger, and and even portraying a child's anger. And while he came back for the role, I was actually surprised that Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling refused to show up. And according to what I looked up, it was over pay disputes, which I get it. I really do. But at the same time, I kind of feel sad that they left. However, I mean, the voices they did get to replace them actually are surprisingly great. These 2 actors are phenomenal. I truly could not have guessed that they replaced those 2. I legit thought they were the original actors, and they did a great job replacing them.
Now let's talk about the new emotions, starting with anxiety, voiced by Maya Hawke, whom was in the 2017 Little Women TV special and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Her job is to protect Riley from the dangers she can't see, and she's determined to make sure that Riley fits in with her high school peers at all costs. Now, we must make something perfectly clear. She's not the villain, but she mostly goes a bit over her head and out of control over the course of the movie, especially during the ending climax. Plus, I feel like her design seems like something that Jim Henson would create for his Muppet characters. What do you think, Bonnie?
Yeah, she does almost look like a Muppet. I mean, look at her hair. She almost resembles Animal a bit. And I wonder if that's a coincidence or on purpose. Take your pick. But either way, I love that anxiety is not the villain, that she just cares about Riley, just goes out of control over it. And What's even better about her is that the movie makes clear there is no antagonist, there's no villain, and for a movie like Inside Out, that is very badly needed because sometimes the worst enemy you have is yourself, and you gotta learn how to take that under control. And, well, this movie gives a resolution for that with anxiety, where she is ultimately helping, but she is not allowed in the driver's seat. Maybe a few seconds, but that's it. And I think she is written extraordinarily well, and she's acted very well too. This was a part that could have so easily been a two-dimensional villain going, oh, how can I give Riley some anxiety? How can I make her life a living hell? But they don't do it. It's like, oh, how can I make her life better? Oh, we just gotta avoid these situations, these situations, these situations, these situations. This is how we are gonna do it. This is how we are gonna avoid all of that. And unintentionally, when not under control, anxiety pretty much unintentionally makes things worse. But that's the thing, unintentional.
Next we have Envy, voiced by Ayo Edebiri, whom was April O'Neil in last year's Ninja Turtles movie. Her job is to let Riley know what she wants. In my opinion, despite being Anxiety's second in command, Envy has got to be the most adorable character in this movie, and I really like how she expresses her enthusiasm and fascination with her eyes and her voice.
Maybe it's just me, but Envy looks like that she could be an anime character. I mean, just look at her. She's designed like one, with those cute little facial expressions and those big eyes. I mean, just the way she looks at something is the same way almost any anime character looks at an object with desire and love and envy.
And yet, she wouldn't be the only Pixar character to show facial expressions like that. This is Embarrassment, voiced by Paul Walter Hauser, who played Horace Badham in the 2021 Cruella movie and Dark in DreamWorks and Netflix's Orion and the Dark. His job is to respond to whenever Riley does something socially unacceptable or awkward, as well as suppress said behavior and keep her humble. In my eyes, while Embarrassment can be shy and mostly quiet, I find him to be a really sweet guy, as Anxiety describes him to be.
Not much I could say about Embarrassment, though I will say, fun fact, I originally thought that was going to be Bing Bong brought back to life in some Deus Ex Machina, but I'm glad they did not do that. Though it would have made sense, and it would have been an interesting twist if that was actually him. I mean, they got the similar design, the same color, and, well, and he kind of did wear a sweater, but I'm honestly glad that they did not go for that idea.
The last of Riley's new emotions is Onwe, which is French for the boredom, voiced by Adele Exarchopoulos, whom was the French voice of Ember in Pixar's Elemental. Her main job is to provide a protective mechanism to keep Riley away from or not focus on things that are not worth her time or energy, such as drama and, to an extent, her parents. She also helps Riley in showing an apathetic look and, in this way, keeping it cool when conversating with Val and the cool kids, while also using sarcasm to hide what she really feels. Now, I find Onwe to be the most interesting emotion in this movie, not just because of her French accent, but because she can work the console remotely using her mobile app. Plus, I thought the most memorable and funniest scene involving Onwe is when she loses her phone courtesy of sadness, which causes her to panic. Last but not least, we have Valentina Ortiz, aka Val, captain of the Firehawks hockey team, voiced by Lilimar Hernandez, whom was in Hubie Halloween, the Baymax series, and she voiced Solana in Spirit Riding Free. Now, I find Val to be a very kind and empathetic character, unlike some popular girls who think they're above everybody else. And I like that she sees varsity potential in Riley. Bonnie, what do you think about her?
I like what this movie does with Val. I love her as a character. And that she's not, like you said, just some big show off going, I'm the superstar, you aren't. But that she actually is very human and behaves it. She may look and act cool, but ultimately she even opens up to Riley and says, I messed up several times too. Don't be ashamed of it. It's all right. Don't overwork yourself. And I also like that she also becomes Riley's friend, showing that you don't have to be cool to, you don't have to be a facade cool in order to fit in with the cool group, because you could just be yourself. And that's what Val indirectly teaches Riley, is that just be yourself, and I can connect with that, or you could connect with me that way.
And now, on to our final words. Overall, Inside Out 2 is such an emotional and amazing sequel. And it's got to be the absolute best animated film of the year so far. It has wonderful animation, it has lovable, memorable, and interesting characters, old and new, and it has a relatable and thought-provoking coming-of-age story, which also includes moments that can really tug at everybody's heartstrings.
For me personally, even though I would have liked this movie to come sooner, it came out the moment that it needed to. And I feel like for me, at least, it came out the time that I needed to hear it the most. Here's what I mean by that. Recently, I don't entirely know why, I've been getting very anxious at work, and because of that, I've recently lost a job with Panera Bread. Also, have been missing my own family very much lately. And, well, this movie not only reminded me that despite that my family and friends that I grew up with are not nearby, I have new friends and family to look forward to and to be with, to not forget them. And that even though I've lost Panera for now, there's more to look forward to in life. I currently have a job at Weiss Market, and, well, I'm doing fairly well so far. And, well, I'm really hoping that I can get back on my feet and make sure to keep anxiety not at the front of my wheel. And in acknowledging the fact that I have friends now, I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of them. I want to thank you, Servant Stage, for helping me during the crisis with Panera Bread and losing them. I want to thank you, movie fan, Jonathan from Jay's Watch, Alpha Lion Simba, and Joshua. Thank you guys for being here for me. And Joshua, I'm so glad I could be here for you.
So together, we give this movie a full rating of 100%. Well, that's all for now. I'd like to thank Bonnie for joining me today.
Thank you again, Joshua, for inviting me. This was a lot of fun, and I hope you feel better soon, and I'll be praying.
Take care, Bonnie. So, what do I have next on my list? Well, with my time in Oklahoma at Musical Theater Village coming to an end this weekend, I'll have to look back at a Western film from the early 2010s. Be sure to join me next time. Mustang Power.
Do